Enterprise, next Wednesday at 8, 7 Central on UPN.
Isidore's been in the news now for a while. It was a major hurricane at one point. Now it is a major tropical storm. For more on the impact on the Gulf Coast and the Southeast, let's check in with our senior meteorologist, Stu Ostro. Stu, what's the latest?
Well, Dave, we continue to watch Isidore very closely, and actually at this hour, the center is getting fairly close to making landfall on the Louisiana coast. We also have a new report from a NOAA reconnaissance plane that we want to discuss a little bit, and we can do that if we look at the radar. The plane observation that I mentioned was a wind above 80 miles per hour, but that was at flight level. We see no evidence of that kind of sustained wind at the surface, and we think that that probably occurred within this band of very heavy squalls just coming on shore here during the past hour or so. That'll be rotating up and around. One thing I did want to mention is we broaden out the radar view a little bit and put this into motion. This is over the past 6 hours or so. Is that earlier this evening, the center of Isidore had wobbled a little bit to the northeast. It's now wobbled back a little bit to the northwest and may eventually just smooth out and end up moving more or less to the north with time. This northwest wobble does have one implication in the short term, and that is that some of these heavy rain squalls will likely be headed back toward the city of New Orleans. They had some very heavy rain earlier this evening, in a bit of a break now across at least parts of the metro area, and they'll be getting some more rain. As we look across the remainder of the Gulf Coast here, we see this very heavy band which came ashore during the past few hours. Folks who have been watching Mike Seidel have seen some of the wind and rain that he's been experiencing over here in Gulf Shores, and that's been associated with this band. There is actually a break south of that band, so his rain and wind may ease up a little, but the wave action will continue. I want to first mention here we have Isidore at, let's see, 125 miles south of New Orleans, Louisiana. That's where the center is. Looking at the radar now, we'd say it's probably only about 50 or 60 miles south of the tip of the Louisiana coast here. I started to mention the waves, and we see that as we've gone through time, the gigantic circulation of Isidore has caused much higher waves than we would expect to see with a small tropical storm of this intensity. 20-foot plus waves coming on where Mike is located in Gulf Shores right now. And as we look at the waves in combination with the surge, we see a total water level rise of upwards of 3 to 4 feet in here and here, 5 to 7 feet in here. That's a combination of the surge and what we call the wave setup, which is the contribution of the waves. That will be producing some coastal flooding. In fact, it already is, and that'll be continuing through the evening. Dave?
Thanks, Stu. And what you showed here on the Weather Channel in southern Louisiana may actually be a tornado involved in the region of high winds. Tornado warning for Jefferson and Lafourche Parish tonight.
That's right, a busy, busy night.
Coming up next, the latest on Isidore, plus your forecast for Thursday. We'll see you in a minute.
Evening Edition is sponsored by The Home Depot, driving down the cost of home improvement.
In the 90 years LL Bean has sold outdoor clothing and gear, competitors have come and gone. Many have tried, but none have matched our dedication to quality and service. As others fold or merge, LL Bean remains family-owned and true to doing things right. Today, our commitment to quality products, service, and our guarantee assures you'll always be 100% satisfied. You have our word on it. Call today for our free catalog.
Now there's an easier way to see the world. Just visit orbit.com. The only travel site featuring The Matrix, the easy way to find the low fares and options you want. Visit Orbitz.com today, where finding the most low fares is easy.
If you have diabetes, you've probably handled thousands of test strips. But no more.
Welcome to the Tropical Update here at the Weather Channel. We're following the progress of Tropical Storm Isidore, which is now moving ashore in southern Louisiana and spreading copious amounts of rainfall from Louisiana across Mississippi, Alabama into western Florida. And that will be one of the big impacts from this system, will be the very heavy rainfall and the potential for flooding. Let's go to the details. We'll start off here with the coordinates. Now, these coordinates were the last advisory out of the National Hurricane Center as of 1 a.m. Central Daylight Time. New advisory expected in about an hour at 4 a.m. Central Daylight Time. But as of 1, 75 miles south of New Orleans is where they placed the center of circulation of Isidore. Top winds of 65 miles an hour has been moving to the north at about 13 miles an hour with a central pressure of 987 millibars. Now, it is a good thing that this thing ran out of time because it looked like it was trying to strengthen up to the point where it made landfall. But now that it's over land, hopefully that will be the end of it in terms of strengthening. We'll begin to start seeing this weaken. But still, whether it was a minimal hurricane or a strong tropical storm, that difference not so important as the fact that we have all these other effects to talk about. The very heavy rains, flooding. You know, we've seen in some cases close to a foot of rain around the New Orleans metro. Flash flood warnings now starting to go up here into southwestern parts of Mississippi, here to the north of Biloxi and north of Slidell. In Biloxi, the northeast corner of the Biloxi Peninsula, heading out toward the Back Bay, east of Lee Street, north of Division, a mandatory evacuation in effect due to flooding going on. And another problem we've got, if you look closely here, you'll notice this spin right here. We're still thinking that there's a lot going on here. We think the overall center is somewhere in this area. This may or may not be a mesocyclone rotating around the larger center, or it may be the actual center that is closed in over the last hour. But in any case, one thing that's going on right here, we have seen over the past hour and a half, one tornado warning after another being issued with this batch of thunderstorms around this circulation. And the latest one still up until the top of the hour, including the city of Houma in Terrebonne Parish. We'll see if the National Weather Service reissues the tornado warning as we get past the 3 a.m. hour here Central Time. Let's expand things out now because I want to take a look at the rest of the situation. And notice the very heavy rains also falling in Mississippi, Alabama, all the way over into western Florida. And these rains have just been coming down in bucketfuls. 42 hours ending at 1 a.m. Central. New Orleans has seen almost 9 inches of rain. Boothville's seen 8 1/4. Gulfport, Mississippi, 7 1/2. Mobile has seen 7 1/4, and even over to Pensacola, over 7 inches of rainfall out of this. So a big rain producer, and flooding definitely a problem as we go into the day on Thursday. How about the winds? Well, they have been gusty. Haven't seen any hurricane force gusts, but we are seeing gusts now to 49 miles an hour here around New Orleans, and could have some stronger gusts out there, so be wary of those and watch out for, if you have to be out tomorrow, and not really advised, but if you do, watch out for downed trees, power lines, always the kind of thing you have to watch. Hurricane watch is still up Cameron over to Pascagoula. Those could very well be dropped as we go into the morning as the system now onshore, losing its chance to strengthen up to hurricane force. But tropical storm warnings up from High Island over to St. Mark's. And another problem, I mentioned the tornado warning for Terrebonne Parish. Tornado watch still up from New Orleans eastward toward Panama City and reaching up into extreme southwestern Georgia, that until 8 a.m. Central Time. We think that in the future we'll be watching the Isidore, the remnants of Isidore, moving up into the Tennessee Valley, bringing a lot of rain with them. And as a result, the National Weather Service has flood watches posted just about all the way north toward the Ohio River. Oof. All right, so that's Isidore. We'll be continuing to watch this through the night. But we have a couple of other things to tell you about. 2 other systems, as a matter of fact. Kyle and Lili. We'll start things off here with Lili. Tropical Storm Lili not looking all that healthy. Top winds of 40 miles an hour, centered about in the range of south of, fairly far to the south of Santo Domingo, and heading off to the west at 6 miles an hour. Looks like that trend will continue through Saturday afternoon. Kyle, a marine threat only, but a hurricane yet, mineral hurricane, 75 miles an hour, and centered 590 miles east-southeast of Bermuda.
Oh, Ned, it's Mom. Please come out.
I don't want to. You got a home loan from Ditech.com.
Well, if your bank had been on the ball, I might have given you more consideration.
Need cash to consolidate bills? Apply now for a second mortgage from Ditech.com.
By the way, your Uncle Willie called. He's tired of waiting, so he's calling Ditech.com.
You're not going to call Ditech, are you?
Ditech.com. Call 1-800-71-FIXED.
Travelocity can.
Travelocity can help me find the perfect place for my wedding.
Introduce me to Unagi.
Help me rediscover my father.
Isidore came very close to becoming a hurricane before it made landfall early this morning along the coast of Louisiana, just southwest of the New Orleans area. Did not become a hurricane, remained a tropical storm, and remains a tropical storm at this moment. Moving toward the north now at about 16 miles an hour. The winds are said to be about 65 miles an hour in the center, and the center of the storm 20 miles southwest of New Orleans. Of course, the center is not something that we are totally concerned with here due to the nature of this widespread storm. We'll continue to see heavy rain over a large area. And tropical storm warning is still in effect from High Island, Texas, over toward St. Marks, Florida. The hurricane watches have been dropped. The path of Isidore will take it up through portions of Mississippi, Alabama, and the rain pushing into Tennessee and Kentucky, up through the Ohio Valley. A lot of heavy rain expected out of this. We have more tropical systems to talk about. One is a hurricane. This is Kyle, and a tropical storm to the south in the Caribbean. That's Lili. First of all, Kyle now with winds of 85 miles an hour, moving toward the west-southwest at 12. It's located 790 miles east-southeast of Bermuda, just not affecting any land areas and not really anticipated to, though it might pick up a little bit of strength, not a major factor here. Lili has been a major factor here through the Lesser Antilles, bringing some flooding rain and some windy conditions. The latest on Lili shows it to be 280 miles south-southwest of Santo Domingo with winds of 40 miles an hour in the center, moving slowly toward the west at about 6 miles an hour. We have hurricane, make that tropical storm watches for the coast of Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Some of these watches could be upgraded to warnings later on, and as this moves westward, we expect to see a lot of rain out of it, even invade Cuba. We're also seeing a storm that has invaded the Mexico area. This is a Tropical Depression Julio, with winds of 35 miles an hour, bringing some possible flooding rain to the Mexican shoreline. Now, we want to move on into the United States and show the effects of Isidore with Cheryl.
Tropical storm Isidore is still wreaking havoc, especially across the southeast, where our primary concern, very heavy rain and flooding, but there's also, too, the possibility for severe weather. Once again, flash flood watches continue from the Gulf Coast all the way northward into the Ohio Valley, and for later tonight, too, we have flash flood watches in effect for parts of New York State and north central Pennsylvania. Again, be mindful of the fact that we may see some severe weather erupting from the energy and moisture from Isidore as it continues to stream inland. And at this point, a tornado watch continues from the area just east of New Orleans to an area just east of Panama City. So this does mean conditions are favorable for severe weather, including tornadoes in and around that area. And actually, Isidore has had some far-reaching effects. Besides pummeling the southeast, we've actually seen that moisture rotting up towards the Ohio Valley and the mid-Atlantic as well. A lot of rain coming on down this morning from western Maryland, southeast, back through Charleston, West Virginia, Charlottesville, Danville, Lynchburg, Virginia. More rains, too, pelting the Carolinas even as we speak. And some of that rain riding as far north as New York City at this time. So that's the forecast today. Increasing moisture, increasing rain spreading up across the northeast, and especially the southeast, though. You'll see the brunt of the rainfall today, perhaps over 5 and 6 inches in some places. Nick?
As Isidore does spread its influence into the United States, we need to keep abreast of what's happening, and you need the next hour first outlook for the latest on what's coming your way. At 6:01, live reports begin from Alabama, which has already seen upwards to 8 inches of rain. We'll take you right into the storm area. Then at 6:05, we'll outline how the wet weather will be spreading across the southeast. For some, it's much needed rain, but it may come with the price of flooding. Plus, when will the rain reach places like Philadelphia, D.C., or New York? We'll have the latest. At 6:10 and 6:40, travel analyst Dennis Smith will be here to help you work around the day's travel hazards. Stay with us.
Introducing Suzuki's 00 and 7 event, featuring America's #1 value plan. It's America's #1 finance offer and America's #1 warranty. 0% APR financing for 5 full years with 0 down payment on all new Suzuki models. And now, all new Suzukis come with a 100,000-mile 7-year powertrain limited warranty, like the XL7 with available third-row seating, and the 145-horsepower Aereo, now available with the confidence of all-wheel drive. The smart choice is America's #1 value plan, so move fast to your local Suzuki dealer today.
See your local Suzuki dealer for America's #1 warranty or call 1-877-MY-SUZUKI.
Before he grows up, gets his own place, and forgets to call home, you get a few choice years of him just to yourself. That's why we have over 2,500 choice locations across the country. Because the farther you get from home, the closer you get to the people who live there.
So when are we going to talk about the honeys and the bees?
The what?
Choice Hotels. Enter the get-together sweepstakes at choicehotels.com, and you could win a trip for 10 to any Choice Hotel location in the continental U.S. That's the power of being there.
Momentarily. First stop, though, the latest on Isidore, the center at 30.7 north and 89.7 west, roughly 60 miles north-northeast of New Orleans. Top winds are 60 miles per hour. They should come down pretty quickly later on today, however. And the movement now north-northeast to 14, pressure about 985 millibars. And that is about the lowest pressure I saw, too, over there at Boothville, as well as the Lakefront Airport in New Orleans when the system came in. Right now, tropical storm warnings, Morgan City, Louisiana, over to St. Marks, Florida. Tell you what, though, in Mobile, Alabama, that system going west of you, but Isidore is still putting in south winds at 30 to 55 miles per hour, even now in the Mobile Bay area. System coming northbound, running north-northeast to 14 miles per hour. We have a big spread of influence, though, also a big feeder band coming ashore there in the Florida Panhandle. Watch out in western Georgia later on today. Here again is the system. Look at that thing go. It's way up there now. It's above Poplarville on the way to Jackson, Mississippi. Still pulling the rain in. The rain has been a major, major concern. Safe to say New Orleans has had nearly a foot of rainfall at the International Airport. Mobile, 9.5 inches. Hattiesburg, watch that area. East central Mississippi, flood warnings up. Plenty more rain coming for you guys as the day goes on. Now for the severe aspect of the system, let's turn it over to Dr. Greg Forbes. Greg?
Rain, flooding, and tornadoes are the threats now from the remnants of Isidore as it spreads northeast across the Gulf Coast states. Here's the situation. We do have in red a tornado watch through for this afternoon. We have bands of thunderstorms setting up, one of them just west of Tallahassee now, others across western parts of the Florida Panhandle, another just east of Mobile. Those, as temperatures warm up a little bit, could flare up into tornadoes. Winds at 3,000 feet are almost 60 miles per hour. So there's lots of low-level shear once those storms intensify. Temperatures are warm south of this warm front, up into the 80s. Cooler, even in the 60s north of that. That will limit to areas from Montgomery and perhaps west central Georgia and southeastern Mississippi. For the moment, the tornado threat. Here are the temperatures. Temperatures 78 at Macon, Georgia, just 64 at Atlanta. Quite a sharp transition there. The warm air will be pushing into central Alabama and southeastern Mississippi as we go later on today. Flooding is one of those problems. Here, this darkest purple area just south of New Orleans, 14 inches of rain estimated by radar. Red areas more than 5 inches. So big areas have had more than 5 inches of rain, up to 14 inches, and that rain now is spreading off to the northeast. Here you see in the circulation The circulation center of Isidore is between Bogalusa, Louisiana, and Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Most of the rain has ended now for New Orleans. It's moving up into Mississippi. These yellow areas have rainfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour, and there are flash flood warnings for many of the counties across Mississippi, and flooding is becoming a big problem there. Places have had 4 to 9 inches of rain in Mississippi. Here are a few of those rain bands that I talked about. Some of them are beginning to really flare up here now, just southwest of Tallahassee, a band off to the northwest of Panama City, and we'll watch out for some of the intensification of the bands that are moving into the Pensacola area. No tornado warnings at the moment, but we'll continue to keep those posted. If you see the warning, scroll across your screen, seek shelter. Now, let's go back to Bill for more in the tropics.
All right, Dr. Greg Forbes, thank you very much. Indeed, we continue to monitor a very active pattern out there in the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Basin actually does include the Caribbean Sea, and even though Lili is not an entity per se, this one may come back into play later on in the weekend. So anybody out there in Jamaica and Grand Cayman, watch this one. Looks like that big massive rain with squally weather is headed your way. We have a hurricane too, Hurricane Kyle out here. Other disturbances, one off Africa, another one about the mid portion of the Atlantic between the islands and the coast of Africa. The advisory has been written, the final advisory, and Lili will continue to monitor it though, as we do feel it will be a rainmaker in time. Watch out Haiti, Jamaica, and eventually the Grand Cayman Island area. There could be a regeneration in time as well, and safe to say that soggy weathermaker tracking slowly westerly. Hurricane Kyle, top winds of 85 miles per hour. This one refuses to get out of our hair. It's still moving west-southwest at 9 miles per hour. Pressure about 980 millibars, centered at 27.8 north, 58.7 west. Hopefully never an impact on Bermuda, but we'll monitor, safe to say. Has a little eye to it. It's a little open-ended on one side, and right now heading generally to the west.
Obviously, the new Silverado is here. Silverado, the truck from Chevy.
If you have diabetes, you've probably handled thousands of test strips. But no more, thanks to the AccuCheck compact meter. Just drop in a drum containing 17 test strips. Press the button and you're ready. 17 consecutive tests and no handling strips. What could be clearer? The AccuCheck compact meter. Look for the one with the drum.
Okay, Kenny, let's go see what we got, man.
Nothing's faster than Stacker 2, the world's strongest fat burner, now available in light.
Now 35 miles an hour as of the latest advisory, moving to the north at 25 and increasing in that forward speed. And the pressure now 988 millibars. And here's how it looks on the satellite picture. And you can see that the deeper convection, those higher cloud tops, are really beginning to become more scarce, but there's still quite a bit of moisture here. So that very heavy rain will continue from the center on northward into Tennessee and Kentucky and the western end of the Ohio Valley. Notice, if you will, that we have a clear slot here, clear dry slot, and that's the drier air that's been drawn into the system, and for that reason, it didn't get stronger because of that dry air. These systems feed on very warm and very humid water and air, of course, and so with that drier air in place, we really limited the high end of the storm, and that's good news, but it still has caused some problems. We have had winds gusting to 54 miles an hour in New Orleans, 54 miles an hour in Mobile, and gusting to 49 miles an hour in Gulfport, and they are still fairly gusty at this hour in a good part of the southeast. The winds are now out of the southwest and south in northwest Florida, gusting to 36 at Tyndall Air Force Base right around Panama City, and coming out of the north here on the back side of the storm, gusting to 25 miles an hour in Houston. The big story has not been the wind, though. It's been the very, very heavy rain. These are Doppler rainfall estimates in the southeast. We're talking about a large area of 3 inches or more, as indicated by the yellow, and we have these bullseyes here of 10 and even 15 inches of rain in some cases, and that's why we have had serious flooding problems in a good part of the Gulf Coast. Here's a look at some of those numbers right now. We're talking about 13.97 inches in Milton, Florida. East New Orleans picking up 13.5. New Orleans International 11.63. Mobile nearly 10 inches of rain, and about 9 1/3 in Gulfport, Mississippi. And there's the current radar picture. Now, we have been concerned about severe weather east of the center, so tornado watches have been issued today, but we haven't seen a whole lot in the way of activity, so some fairly good news there. But again, that very heavy rain continuing in Mississippi and northwestern parts of Tennessee and Kentucky. There's a look at what's happening in Florida, and not a whole lot happening here, but we do have a couple of storms beginning to flare up a little bit now south and west of Jacksonville and also into southern parts of Georgia. These are lifting along towards the north, so we will watch these areas for possible development. And then farther along towards the north and west, not much going on right now in Alabama, and there is the center of your storm now in east central Mississippi between 55 and 45, and again working rapidly off towards the north at 25 miles an hour. Farther northward, heavy rain has been falling in Memphis since noon today. Heavy rain now being reported. That is also the case in Jackson and right on into Nashville. And we have more heavy rain now into Bowling Green, Kentucky, but it does thin out as you head through the Ohio Valley and on up into the northeast. We still do have flood watches in effect, though, in a good part of the northeast in anticipation of the rain falling through tonight and then right on through the day tomorrow. We do have other tropical weather to talk about. There's a tropical low now in the Caribbean. This is Lili, and this was, of course, a tropical storm at one point, a fairly strong tropical storm, has been downgraded to a tropical low. It's moving along towards the west-northwest at 12, and the wind's now 35 miles an hour. We still do have a little cluster of convection now south of Hispaniola. You have South America right here. That is Haiti and the Dominican Republic. There is Jamaica, and there are some suggestions that it could get stronger once again, so we still will have to watch this very, very carefully in the days to come. And across the rest of the country, not a whole lot going on. There is a front now across the upper Midwest. With that, some showers and a few storms in Wisconsin and extending back into western parts of Iowa and working along towards the north and towards the east. We'll have more in Isidore coming up. Stay tuned.
In the 90 years LL Bean has sold outdoor clothing and gear, competitors have come and gone. Many have tried, but none have matched our dedication to quality and service. As others fold or merge, LL Bean remains family-owned and true to doing things right. Today, our commitment to quality products, service, and our guarantee assures you'll always be 100% satisfied. You have our word on it. Call today for our free catalog.
Everything's got to work like, it's a symphony, right? So the piston goes down, then it's going to come back up. That's the job of the piston. You got your valves, you're like little doors, you know.
Just as a tropical storm, the last advisory was written almost, 4 hours ago. So we'll show it to you a couple more times this evening during Evening Edition. But for the most part, the important thing to realize is here's the center of circulation just here south of Tupelo to the east of Greenwood, Mississippi. And take a look back in Louisiana.